Hey everybody, I'm Mike, this is Budget Guns and Gear Reviews, and you are watching the Right of the People single shot, where it's you, me, and whatever stripped my trigger today. So uncover your keyboards and fire up your fingers. Time to join the conversation. Hey everybody, I'm Mike with Budget Guns and Gear Reviews, and this is a Right of the People single shot. It is, Sunday? Yes, Sunday, March 21st, 2021, and Dianne Feinstein has tripped that trigger today. But before we get into talking about her, let me welcome my esteemed panel. We got the person who's partially responsible for Dianne Feinstein being inflicted upon the rest of the country, native Californian, Calaveras 32 Special. How you doing, sir?
I am not responsible for that whack job. I blame, the San Francisco Bay Area. In short, discounting all of those votes one way or another. I don't know if we can get rid of her, because I'm pretty sure they will vote for her even after she's dead and cold.
Well, why not? They'll vote for her after they're dead and cold, so shit, go ahead. How's it going there, Squib? How are you today?
Trying to be productive. I was shooting a Cocktails with Squib video when somebody sent me a show invite. So,
what kind of asshole would do that?
I know, man. I mean, it just popped right up there on my cell phone screen, and I'm going, really? I'm working here. But thanks for the invite.
Hey, no problem, man. No problem. Let me see who's out there in the chat so far. We got Kingpin saying, yo. Patriot in the Dark giving a thumbs up. The Poor Conservative wishing everyone a good afternoon. Rich White saying howdy. Mountain View says, hey. I think Mountain View is a new name that I haven't heard before, so welcome to the show. Hope you like what you see. Midnight Range dashing in, farting all over the place. At least I think that's what that is, that pancake and then the little wind blowing thing. I know it actually means dash, but it looks like the pancake's taking a fart around here. Ghost Tactical is out in the chat. You should have a link if you want to hop in, brother. So yes, Dianne Feinstein. Let me back up. When the Democrats took nominal control of the Senate with a 50-50 split, with Kamala being the tiebreaker here, everyone said, oh, don't worry about gun control being passed. It'll never pass the Senate. They can't get the 60 votes that they need to overcome a filibuster. And I said that, well, you know what? They're right. Unless Chucky Schumer decides to nuke the legislative filibuster. Well, folks, I'm not the only one saying it. I haven't been the only one saying it, but now we've got good old California's gift to the rest of the country, Dianne Feinstein. Kind of like herpes. It's the gift that keeps on giving, right? Anyhow, Dianne Feinstein is, she's one of the ones that said at the beginning of this, during the campaign trail and at the beginning of the Democrat rule in the Senate here, that no. We need the legislative filibuster to protect the rights of the minority party. But now she says, F that filibuster. Let's go ahead and nuke it. This is a piece from Breitbart.com. Dianne Feinstein backs nuclear option. Senator Dianne Feinstein, Democrat, California, released a statement Friday night showing her flip-flopping on her original opposition to eliminating the filibuster, now saying she is supportive of using the nuclear option to end it. Feinstein stated, there are many significant issues Congress needs to address, including the gun violence, violence against women, and hate in the tragic shootings in Atlanta. Gotta stuff as much value into that atrocity as possible, don't you? Because you can't let anything like that go to waste, like we talked about Friday. I digress, though. Feinstein continued to mention she has tried for multiple years to pass key legislation on background checks for gun purchases and the reauthorization of the Violence Against Women Act. Ideally, the Senate can reach bipartisan agreement on those issues as well as on a voting rights bill, she wrote in a press release. But if that proves impossible and Republicans continue to abuse the filibuster by requiring cloture votes, I'm open to changing the way the Senate filibuster rules are used. You know, it's funny how when Republicans use the rules and operate by the, processes set forth for the Senate, it's abuse. But when they do it, it's just fine. Feinstein pointed out President Joe Biden's shift this week by endorsing a talking filibuster, writing that it is worth considering, or worth discussing. The California Democrat does not want to dismiss the years of Senate tradition. Still, she believes one party should be able to prevent votes on it should not be able to prevent votes on important bills by abusing the filibuster. Let's go ahead and look at good old Di-Fi's actual statement from her own press release. That way we're not relying on someone else's tweet here. This is from feinstein.senate.gov, which I feel dirty, and I think maybe my computer caught a virus just from going to that. But Feinstein's statement on filibuster reform from March 19, 2021. Washington. Senator Dianne Feinstein, Democrat, California, today released the following statement on President Biden's proposal that the Senate should consider reforming filibuster rules. There are many significant issues Congress needs to address. Just this week, we saw a union of gun violence, violence against women, and hate crimes in the tragic shootings in Atlanta. I've tried for years to pass legislation in these areas. This month, the House passed bills to improve background checks for gun purchases and reauthorize the Violence Against Women Act, among other key legislation. Ideally, the Senate can reach bipartisan agreement on those issues, as well as on a voting rights bill. But if that proves impossible and Republicans continue to abuse the filibuster by requiring cloture votes, I'm open to changing the way the Senate filibuster rules are used. President Biden this week suggested returning to a talking filibuster so opponents of a bill must speak on the Senate floor and explain their opposition. That is an idea worth discussing. I don't want to turn away from Senate traditions, but I also don't believe one party should be able to prevent votes on important bills by abusing the filibuster. I would say that the filibuster is there to do exactly that so that the majority does not trample the minority. But again, I'm digressing. In January, that's 2 short months ago. In January, Feinstein responded to someone who contacted her office to ask about reforming filibuster rules. Feinstein's office wrote in response, "Thank you for writing to express your support for reforming filibuster rules in the Senate. I appreciate hearing from you and welcome the opportunity to respond. I recognize that you would prefer that the Senate pass legislation using a simple majority vote threshold. You may be interested to know in order to end use of the legislative filibuster, the Senate would have to vote to change the rules in Senate procedure. Respectfully, we may have to disagree on this issue. I believe the filibuster remains a useful tool for senators and has historically been used to protect the rights of the minority party. However, please know that I share your belief that Democrats and Republicans must work together to advance our national interests, and I believe I've been determined to encourage respectful political discourse between both parties. There is much to be accomplished in the years ahead, and elected leaders must help bring the parties together to solve the serious problems that confront our nation." Last week, Breitbart News reported after the House passed a Democrat gun control bill, the California senator introduced legislation in the Senate called the Assault Weapons Ban of 2021, co-sponsored by 34 Senate Democrats. And some Republicans. Let's not forget those, Oh, was it by some Republicans? Who knows? Let me look. I might have been thinking about HR8, got the two conflated. Let me see if this lists co-sponsors. Or maybe I'm just salty because one of my senators is a co-sponsor of this, Sherrod Brown, who is a Democrat, but he is an Ohioan, and maybe I got that conflated. But the fact is, right now, Dianne Feinstein for consideration yet again. So, you know, principles go by the wayside when the agenda needs advancing. I just think it's disgusting that, you know, they want to run roughshod. Again, commonplace use of the rules as they're written and as they stand is okay when they do it, but it's abuse when the Republicans do it. Their hypocrisy knows no bounds. What do you guys think? Rich White says yes, it's all Pickle's fault.
Here's the thing.
It does not surprise me in the least that they have a, this rules for us, those rules for the mentality. For sure.
If they want to get rid of the filibuster, then that tells me that they're already poised to commit widespread, blatant election fraud in the midterms yet again. That they're so emboldened and so confident. Well, they tried it. It worked. They've got the framework. They've got the plan. They've got the game plan. If they're going to do this, then this makes me think that their long-term goal, or even their short-term goal, that's going to turn into a long-term goal, is that they are going to be the party in power from here on out. No matter what they have to do, no matter how many times people that are loyal to the Republican Party vote for the Republican candidate who just turns out to be a rhino, unfortunately, or how the third and fourth parties aren't really gaining any traction because they can't seem to appeal to the masses or get their act together. So they're in a really good spot right now. I think that they probably never thought they could steal an election like this, and now they're just going to go for it. And if my prediction is right, I really don't know where we're going to go from here. You wouldn't get rid of your ace in the hole. You wouldn't get rid of your get out of jail free card that the other side could use as well if you
ever thought they could use it.
Yeah, well, if you're like, we are never going to need this in the future, so why not, right? But if they were smart, if they're not certain that they can steal the midterms or steal the next presidential election or some of the other stuff, and they want to get rid of the filibuster, they might also be looking at it from the standpoint of looking at it like this. Every time the Republicans have been in power, they just don't do anything. Now, doing nothing is better than enacting more control and raising taxes, doing all this other stuff. They do little things here and there, but it almost seems like the Republicans either don't do anything or they just play nice when they have the power. But when the Dems have the power, they make everybody pay. And I almost want these Republicans to start having some backbone and just fight dirty. To hell with it.
Well, look what happens when we get someone that wants to say mean things, right? They cheat him out of office. And so with, I wholeheartedly believe, the collusion of the Republican Party. None of them wanted Donald Trump to be reelected because he made them look like the weak, spineless little pieces of filth that they are. So they let the Dems steal this election. Do you think the Dems are ever going to hesitate to steal another? You're nuts if you think they are. You're nuts if you think they'll hesitate to do it again. I think you're right, Squib. I think the only reason they're considering it now is they don't expect that they'll ever have it used against them because they don't intend to give up power. Everyone who says that, if they do this, remember what happened back in 1994 when they passed the assault weapons ban? They all got voted out of office and all that. Oh, yeah, that's true. That did happen. What makes you think they're going to allow the election results to get them out of office this go around? They just successfully stole the highest office in the land. Do you think they're going to hesitate 1 microsecond to do the rest? Come on, man.
So the thing is, yeah, I do agree with you that there were Republicans in different elected and appointed positions that turned their back on Donald Trump, turned their back on the American people, and looked the other way and didn't fight this fraud. You know, to some extent, I even think Donald Trump gave up himself. I'm a little disappointed in the way he handled it. I'm not saying he should have done some of the radical stuff people were proposing, but the thing is, overwhelmingly, Americans got up off the couch and went out and voted for Donald Trump. Because some of them maybe just because they didn't want Biden-Harris, and some of them just because they liked the direction the country was going in under his leadership. I don't care that Orange Man bad, he says mean things, he tweets too much, he puts his foot in his mouth. He was doing good things for the country. Not because he's a Republican or whatever, just because, I mean, you got to look how many people had their health insurance costs go down, their income taxes going down. Look at where the economy was going. People had somebody in office that was standing up for the little guy, stuff like that. But he wasn't one of them. Even though he was wealthy, and even though he's a businessman, he's famous, he's a celebrity, he's not one of them as far as being a political elite. And because he didn't play ball, his own party stabbed him in the back. And I don't know what our recourse is to get rid of these people, because I understand voting for a Democrat to show that rhino that you're not going to stand for that. I can see where that would work tactically, but overall, what do we do about a party that doesn't care about what we want? You know, just to suit their own needs. What are we going to do?
I have no idea. But Rich says, he points out something that I'd forgotten, unfortunately, because it does have bearing on the Second Amendment. He points out that if they get rid of the filibuster, they'll pass HR1 and they won't have to steal another election. HR1 is the expanded voting rights bill, which actually Feinstein kind of telegraphed that punch by mentioning it. Now that I think about it, HR1 is the one that makes it easier to vote, doesn't require ID, can do mailing, online, all this other bullshit. You know, completely making it easier for fraud and allowing just about anybody who wants to vote, whether they're allowed to or not. So, wonderful. Mountain View asked, isn't Dianne Feinstein on medicine for dementia? I swear I heard an article. Even if she isn't, she needs to be, but regardless of whether or not she is, her voters keep sending her back to us.
I'm looked over in the chat. Kingpin, I strongly disagree with you. We didn't fail. We showed up in record numbers to vote. People who ordinarily wouldn't vote showed up to vote. The Democrats stole this, and the Republicans helped them by doing nothing. All the way up to the top. All the way up to the top. I didn't swallow the flavor aid. I'm not in bed with the party. It's the lesser of two evils. And historically, Republicans in elected and appointed positions have done more to benefit my family and myself as long as I've been around. If there was a viable third or fourth party that had a better platform, you're damn right I would support them, especially because it would keep the Democrats and Republicans in check. Unfortunately, the independents can't seem to get their shit together. But I do not wholeheartedly believe that we are responsible for this. The people that we trusted stabbed us in the back.
Yeah. I gotta agree. I think that I don't know. It wasn't our fault. You know, the people who were supposed to be guarding against fraud fell asleep at the switch, or, as I said, deliberately allowed it to happen because Orange Man bad, wanted to get rid of him because they all freaking hated him. Regardless of party, they decided to allow the Democrats to do this because, hey, at least then they got rid of Trump, right?
And I got to tell you, as much as, what I know about Donald Jr., as far as I've seen in interviews and stuff like that, he seems like a pretty good guy. But if he runs for president, at least in the primaries, I don't think he's going to get my vote.
Nope.
Because I'm not going to deal with this whole nepotism. I'm setting things up for my son, once again, at our expense kind of thing. Or, now, granted, if he does run and he wins the primary and, compared to the alternative,
yeah,
I'd vote for him in the election. But I'm just
as if it matters who we vote for. But
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I hate to say that, man. I hate to be so damn cynical. I really do. I would rather be optimistic about it, but man, I know that if they get rid of the filibuster, it ain't good. It ain't good. The only recourse we have will be the courts to tie this crap up.
The piss poor Supreme Court that we've got, all these SCOTUS people that we wanted to get behind, and we weren't going to tolerate all the ways they were trying to trash their reputation and everything else, and then so far their performance has been another letdown. They are in with that group. They didn't want to see the case. They didn't want to see the case that Texas brought. Now, granted, Texas could have done a better job of bringing it, but still, they didn't want to see it. That's a perfect example of how people that are supposed to be there because we wanted them there. We elected Donald Trump. He put them there, and then they let us down. We had nothing to do. We don't have that power. We don't have that control. Unless, of course, you want to start talking about getting your guns and doing stuff that none of us want to do. And we don't want to go there. So, yes, once again, it's just evidence that people in authority who had a chance to make a difference, to do what the majority of Americans wanted, let us down. This is something to be concerned about. We can try to contact our Congress critters, like you always say, and things like that, and that might gain some votes against it. But this ain't looking good initially. I think we're gonna have to monitor it.
We're definitely gonna have to monitor it, and I think that on our level, we need to be loud. We need to be very vociferous about this. We need to scream from the rooftops that this can't happen. We need to contact our Congress critters and elected representatives and tell them about this crap. Make sure that they understand that killing the legislative filibuster, especially our Democrat senators, we need to contact and tell them about this crap. That this is not ever gonna fly. This is not acceptable. Remind them that one day they'll be on the other end of this. And if it comes to a Republican majority, but not a super majority, do they want Roe v. Wade to go by the wayside? Do they want abortion to become illegal? Do they want all the little pet projects that they have, all the pet causes that they have? Do they want that shit to go by the wayside via the dismissal, the abolishment of the legislative filibuster? Remind them that this sword cuts both ways, and that if they want to use it to swing this way, well, you know what? Eventually it'll be in the Republicans' hands, and, how much do they want to pay for it then? We're going to go ahead and sign off here. I want to thank you guys for being here for this. Pickle, is there any last words you'd like to leave us with?
No, just want to say thanks for having for the invite, letting me on here again.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. Squib, is there anything you would like to leave us with?
Yeah, CloverTac, the reason that they could possibly have enough votes to do this is because of all the rhinos. All the people that say that they stand behind the things that the people that voted for them believe in, but really do what the other side believes in. It's shameful. I'm not here saying it's over, it's done, we're game over, man, game over. No. But look at what happened with the election. and then look at what's been happening, not just recently, but over the years with all of these rhinos that we end up putting in office. And unfortunately, sometimes when we do that, it's because they lied to us, or it's because we're picking the lesser of two evils. So this is just something that we're going to have to stay aware of and try to do whatever we can to deal with.
You know what? That is a question. If any of you know it, because we're getting ready to bounce here, leave it in the comments below in the replay. How many votes do they need to get rid of a legislative filibuster in the Senate? Do they need to overcome the filibuster to get rid of the filibuster? Or do they have another mechanism by which they can do that? Let us know in the comments if you're out there and you have the answer, because I would very much like to know. I think that at this point, that all we can do is, as I said, get loud. Be very vocal about it. Tell your senators that this is not what you want. And of course, don't ever give up that fight, right? Before I go, I do want to mention that between now and April 2nd, if you go to the link I just chucked out there in the chat, and I think there's a link in the description, I'm having my basic survival course on April 17th here in Ohio. And if you want to come to that between now and April 2nd, you go to that link and then follow the link to the sign up page. Use code budget25. You get $25 off the price. So, come hang out and let's play around in the woods. I'll talk to you guys later.